Hi, I'm Angela Morabito with the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform. And today I've got 5 big questions for 2 Bakersfield College history professors who are suing their community college district over what they allege is unfair treatment, retaliation, and even threats of being fired that they say they suffered, all because they dared to ask 2 of their colleagues to explain how public money was being spent. Erin Miller and Matthew Garrett are the 2 professors who were concerned that taxpayer dollars were going to push a political agenda on campus. Erin and Matthew are here today to discuss more about their experience and why they're seeking justice. Matthew, I'm going to come to you first. You both filed suit in federal court against Kern Community College District, alleging that the leadership at Bakersfield College, where you taught and still teach, violated your First Amendment rights based on a lecture that you gave in September of 2019. What happened in that lecture? How did we get to this point?
Well, leading up to that, we had had several instances of campus censorship. Someone had protested by posting stickers that the administration tried to designate a hate crime, and then the administration posted their own stickers denouncing anyone's opposing thought. And so I wrote an op-ed, and we started to have discussions, and it culminated into this lecture where I challenged and asked some of the questions about how some of the money was being spent on various social justice agenda items.
And what did those agenda items entail? Do you have a few examples of that?
Well, sure. One of them that caught my attention, honestly, the first one I noticed was funding towards a propaganda website that is affiliated with the United Farm Workers Union that lashed out at me and called me a racist when I started asking questions. And I noticed that the byline said it was paid for by the college, and that started me asking more questions about what else is the college paying for.
Wow, so you start off by asking questions, and I understand you're asking these questions about 2 of your colleagues at the school. My understanding is that you offered an olive branch to these professors. You offered to debate them, you tried to reach out. What happened?
2 faculty members who run an institute on campus tried to arrange a debate or a panel between Matthew Garrett and one of the faculty members. They requested several stipulations, which Dr. Garrett agreed to, but the debate fell apart because they didn't want to participate. And later in records recovery, we discovered that they chose not to participate, knowing that he would discuss funds and that they didn't want to legitimize his ideas.
Wow, so it was because of the topic at hand that they said no. Now, some of the timing here is a little suspicious, right? Because you give this presentation in September. It's not till October that a complaint is filed saying that this presentation was offensive, it violated professional standards, all of these accusations. But that complaint looks like it came either right alongside or right after when you started requesting public records. What were you looking for? Do you think there's a reason that those 2 things went together?
I do, because after the presentation, there changed the funding on a speaker who was coming to attack Republicans. It was initially attributed to the National Endowment for Humanities, and we were seeking to obtain those records to find out what else was being paid for. And so on Friday, I asked how to request the records. On Monday, the district council tried to figure out how to do that. A day or 2 later, the first 4 complaints came. And a few days later, by the time I filed my official public records request for grants, 4 more complaints against us were filed.
Wow, so this is starting to look like an organized effort. This was quite a few people who were mobilized to speak out against what you were doing. But I want to focus here that you guys haven't backed down. You're still teaching history classes at Bakersfield College. What has that been like? I imagine the environment is wildly different than it was prior to the fall of 2019. Has there been an impact on free speech, on how your fellow faculty act, or how students feel expressing themselves in the classroom?
You know, there has been a bit of a chilling effect on campus broadly. The first year or so after that lecture was very awkward and uncomfortable going into meetings, knowing that there was sort of this willful denial on some part, and the folks who were sort of moving in the shadows to take actions. It was very frustrating and a little bit uncomfortable. In fact, there was one student wrote me an email, or I received an anonymous email from someone claiming to be a student, warning me that one professor was offering extra credit to file complaints about me. So there was definitely an uncomfortable atmosphere. But then we went into the COVID distance learning. And so now it's a little bit strange because we don't see people too often.
Now, to follow up on that other professor offering extra credit, it seems like if what you did was this horrible violation of professional norms, then isn't what that professor's doing a violation as well? Was this person investigated the way you were? Did this person face any pushback the way that you did?
You know, I tried to sit quiet on that and not take any action and just let things play out, but it continued to escalate. And so recently I did finally just file a complaint of my own, outlining some of the things we discovered in records requests that showed quite a few faculty corresponding on the district emails, plotting ways to file complaints and to try to dislodge us from the campus.
So you're facing really stiff opposition. And unfortunately, you're not alone here. Campus reform has covered countless stories of professors just like you who have faced pretty extreme career consequences when they dare to question what the school is doing. I recall a professor in Oregon who spoke out against critical race theory. They investigated her for 9 months. A professor in Vermont who spoke out against social justice curriculum, and then they fired him. So this carries a severe penalty. You're paying that price now. What would you say to students or to other faculty members who are weighing their options here? Do I speak up? Do I stay quiet? I want you both to respond to this. Erin, please, you go first. Would you say it's been worth it?
I would say it's been worth it because if faculty and students don't speak up now, we won't be able to.
That's remarkable. And Matthew, what would you say? Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. That if you simply stay quiet and hope that it goes away, you're simply going to see your ability to resist later eroded. And so the only strategy is to not back down and to demand accountability and transparency and keep everything on the table and keep everyone accountable to what's really going on.
So it's pay now or pay later, and you guys have made a very bold choice. Campus reform will continue to follow this story. In the meantime, Erin Miller and Matthew Garrett, thank you both very much for answering 5 big questions.